I'd be happy to be able to take a picture. Everybody, I think this whole party should be able to do I'll be living in Delhi. By the time you come back, you know how to make I don't know how to make that. Don't worry. I can make that with 3 tonight. So if you want, I can make the pizza now. Just give me this place and no problem. All the best. Good luck. Let's go, maybe. Let's go.
Mayor Garcetti's long-standing relationship with the Armenian American community has been a prime example of the pivotal role that immigrant communities have played in elevating the city of Los Angeles, its people, and its vibrant ethnic culture. The ANCA-WR, as the largest Armenian American grassroots advocacy organization in the United States, is proud to have worked side by side with Mayor Garcetti through the decades as he represented Little Armenia, then the city of Los Angeles, and now the United States of America. Throughout the evening, you will hear from special guests and friends as we congratulate our mayor on his appointment as the next U.S. ambassador to India. If we can please ask everybody to wear their masks, unless of course when you're eating. Please do so. It has truly been the North Star and inspiration for many young Armenian Americans who have been hungry to jump into Los Angeles politics. So please welcome Councilmember Paul.
Thank you very much, everyone. Good evening. First, let me just say thanks to the ANCA Western Region for bringing us together. It's a bittersweet occasion. It's a wonderful opportunity for us to celebrate the incredible relationship that this organization and the entire Armenian community has had with our great leader, Mayor Garcetti. But it's a little bit of a sad occasion, too, to really come to grips with the fact that he's going to be leaving us. And Los Angeles is really never going to be quite the same without our mayor, Mayor Garcetti. If you've been watching these pictures that have been rolling through on the screen, as I have, even if you didn't know already, you can really see the depth and the length of Mayor Garcetti's relationship with this community. All that he's done, even when people weren't paying attention, to uplift our community. This is a man that I was trying to keep track of how long it is. It's been since 25 years that we've been friends. And throughout that time, this community and the values that it represents, its priorities that it has, have been the things that he stood for and fought for, even when he wasn't getting any credit. He served on the Los Angeles City Council. He was first elected representing Little Armenia, of course, bonded very closely with our community, even then. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm told I got to lean in. Okay, thank you for coaching Alex, as you always are. I'm trying to follow the lead of Alex Petrosky, so thank you very much. But throughout his time on the council, he had this incredible bond with the Armenian community. And of course, since he's been mayor, that has blossomed even more. I think about all that we've accomplished in this time with this community. You saw the Centennial March, the Genocide Centennial March, which was something that shook the world, I think. It certainly shook the people of Los Angeles, and that could not have happened without the work that we did together with Mayor Garcetti and his team. think about the Fellows program that my office created with Armenian, with ARTSOC, with the Mayor's office, immediately partnered with us on to make happen. We bring government officials from Armenia to learn from how we do things in Los Angeles and go back there and be able to do a better job of governing in Armenia and in ARTSOC. That was because Mayor Garcetti was willing to say, yes, let's do that. When the ARTSOC war broke out, Mayor Garcetti stood with us on the steps of City Hall with elected officials from across California leading that effort to demand justice and to call for an end to that atrocious aggression against the people of ARTSOC. Mayor Garcetti stood for us. I could go on. Funding for the ARS, since he was council member, it's a very long list of achievements for this community. But we're all residents of Los Angeles too. And in addition to being Armenians, we care about, well, sorry Glendale people, we're not all residents of Los Angeles. We're residents of greater Los Angeles, greater Los Angeles. And as residents of this area, we need to be grateful for all this incredible visionary leader has done for our city as well. It's an incredible legacy of success. When you think about bringing the 28 Olympics to Los Angeles, when you think about transforming transportation here in Southern California as the chair of Metro and as the leader of our effort to pass Measure M, the largest investment in transportation in the United States in our generation, that was because of Mayor Garcetti transforming housing policy in Los Angeles to make sure that we have adequate housing stock and ensure more affordability for people, addressing the crisis of homelessness, leading us through the catastrophe that has been COVID, in absolutely uncharted waters that no one has ever had to deal with before. And Eric Garcetti stepped up and led the city in a way that no one else was able to do. It is a long list of achievements that I think is going to be an incredible legacy that people will look back on and think, that was an incredible time in Los Angeles. You look at the trade that this city is having with the rest of the world, and the economic boom that we've had throughout most of those years, except for the COVID hiccup. You see the record imports and exports in the Port of Los Angeles. You see tourism that's booming in Los Angeles. Eric Garcetti and Ian and I and others, went on a trip to Asia to try to encourage more trade. He has been a leader not just of this city, but really a leader of an international scale. And it's no wonder to me that President Biden decided that he was the right person to represent the United States of America, the second largest country on planet Earth. And he's going to do an incredible job in that position as well. But I want to say just one last thing, and Nina touched on this a little bit. My friend Eric Garcetti has been subjected to unbelievable abuse in this position. And that has become the stock and trade now of politics, apparently. The stock and trade of being in public life is that you have to be the recipient of outrage. And throughout all of that, he has had grace and patience and humility and empathy that I am not capable of mustering up, I will tell you. And he's done it relentlessly. And I've talked to him about this. How do you do this? And his simple answer is you have to lead with love. You just lead with love. And even when it's hard, he's managed to do that. And I think we've all benefited immensely from that leadership. And I know that the United States of America is going to benefit from his representation in India. And now that he's the highest ranking member of the State Department who's friends with this community, I expect good things for this community in the State Department.
earlier I mentioned that you can't say Armenian American in politics without mentioning Paul. There's someone else who just walked into the room who, growing up, his name was always front and center in the ANCA office. Los Angeles City member Kevin DeLeon, who just walked in, who has been a huge advocate and ally for our cause and our community. Thank you. And who we proudly just endorsed as the next Los Angeles mayor. So, as much as Mayor Garcetti and I love the city of Los Angeles, I always, by coincidence, run into the mayor outside of LA, whether it's in Newport Beach, San Francisco, and hopefully next time in India. Hope to see you there. And speaking of India, our next guest served as Armenia's ambassador to India. The Consul General of Armenia in Los Angeles, Ambassador Armenian, whose term unfortunately is almost coming to an end, and who we as a community and as an organization want to thank for his indispensable service and partnership here in Los Angeles.
Thank you very much. From the outset, I would like to express my profound gratitude to ANCA Western Region personally for organizing this wonderful event in honor of a great friend of Armenians and Armenia, Mayor Garcetti. We in Armenia have a term, friend of the Armenian nation. But in your case, everyone would definitely agree with me that we go beyond, let's say, great friends of Armenia. All these years, we were blessed to have you supporting the Armenian community, supporting the Armenian cause. And I congratulate you wholeheartedly for the new position. This is a very important position, not only from the US perspective, but also from the global perspective. Because India is not only second largest country in the world in terms of population, not only on the path to become the third economy in the world, but also it's the largest democracy in the world in terms of, again, its population, its size. But in addition, it's a rising superpower. And I'm sure that through diplomatic skills of Eric Garcetti, Mayor Garcetti, soon Ambassador Garcetti, not only the United States and India, not only the region of South Asia will benefit from this relation, but the entire world. Because today everyone clearly comprehends that a lot depends on India and a lot depends on India-US relations. Mr. Garcetti, I want also to share with you, even you know that perfectly, that in India you're also going to encounter Armenians, Armenian communities. All the Armenian communities, I probably say that the first Armenian by the name of Thomas Khan, he landed in Malabar, southern part of India, which is now Kerala, in 780, 8th century. And since then, there are very many Christians and non-Christians in India that say that our roots go to Thomas Khan. I was very happy to hear that, because not only in terms of nationality, ethnicity, not only in terms of religion, but very many people in southern India consider Thomas Khan to be their forefather. And very many Armenians living in India, establishing strong communities in Calcutta, in Madras, in Bombay, in all terms that I'm using the word Surat. They also turned India into an important center of Armenian transit trade, all the way from Manila, Calcutta to Amsterdam and London. So very many Armenians became prominent diplomats, prominent commanders, military commanders. And My last point is when in 1688, English East India Company signed an agreement on partnership with the Armenian Merchant Company, which was an all-encompassing company represented by Jurga Merchant. There was a clause over there. There were some interesting clauses, but I want to refer to the following clause. The British administrators who were somehow also ruling the country at the time were taking an obligation to provide all the rights that enjoy English citizens to Armenians living there, including the right of unrestricted access to the civil offices. And later on, very interestingly, when India became independent, they offered British citizenship to all Armenians living there. And some of them took the citizenship, but they went to Australia. Go back. Some of them stayed, and when I was ambassador, it was a very rewarding experience. And I was meeting them on a daily basis, and I'm sure we're talking, you mentioned that you are going to visit naturally Calcutta and to meet the Armenian community. We'll be delighted also to see the continuation of your Armenian niece also in India, and later on back again in the U.S. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Council General. I would also like to acknowledge LA City Council Member Paul Perez, who joined us this evening with the ANCA West Region is also proudly endorsed as our next controller. Thank you. Before we invite the man of honor to the podium, I'd like to invite Ms. Colleen Kudolvian, the office field representative for our good friend and longtime ally, Congressman Brad Sherman, for a special flag dedication. Welcome.
I'm a new field representative for Congressman Brad Sherman's office. So grateful to be here representing Congressman Sherman's work for 50 years and he's around and recognize the Garcetti and administrators studying. He's been a strong supporter of our new constituents, as well as people who make up the fabric of the community. Thank you for your service. And then he worked with Congressman Sherman and we found the officer too with you. And Congressman Sherman is a co-chair of the Caucus. Mayor Garcetti, on behalf of Congressman Sherman, I would like to present you the flag that was flown above the U.S. Capitol on the day of Joe Biden's inauguration. So appreciation for our work.
I would also like to call our Glendale City Mayor, Paul Devine, for a City of Glendale proclamation.
Our job is to have the needs always have to have their treaty program at times. He sent it because of our well, what can I say? Thank you for the ANCA Western Region for hosting this wonderful event and Laura and everybody involved. I think if nothing else, you can see and feel the light in this room for you from our Armenian community. I think it goes to show that you don't have to be Armenian to love Armenians and be an Armenian. And I say that from my heart. especially to me, and I have to tell you, to all of you, that he is the most gracious person. And you know, when we were in lockdown for COVID, I watched every day your message and your instructions to the community, to LA, and the whole Southern California. And I could always feel your positivity and your warmth and your caring. And that's something that's really, I think, pretty amazing in a mayor, is to actually have that compassion that you can feel. And that's so important. And I thank you for that. And I know that the people of India are going to appreciate that. Because I have been there a few times. And they need to feel that compassion. Because they are needy. And they need leadership. And they need someone that they know will care for them, about them. And so I wish you the best of luck. I don't want to take too much time, but thank you for all you've done for our Armenian community. I know they appreciate it. I appreciate it. Our council appreciates it. And everything you've done for the city. We're going to leave a development on the community in Southern California. And I wish you the best of luck in India. I really appreciate it. Very frequently, sometimes when you get a politician right from the door,
Well, just congratulations to Mayor Garcetti. You followed his career. Everything that you said about him being a close friend of the Armenian community is so true, and we wish him the very best of luck. Thank you, Mayor Garcetti.
Many days and months in India, my earlier career, and it's not an easy place. So I think LA was tough.
Again, congratulations. I think everything's been said. Los Angeles,
Thank you to our Mayor and Glendale City Council. We're almost at the end of the program. As I mentioned, the ANCA-WR has enjoyed a very long-standing and fruitful relationship with Mayor Garcetti, the benefits of which this city has reaped. From the growth of Little Armenia to the strengthening of the Los Angeles and Yerevan sister city relationship, to helping make election material accessible to Armenian-speaking voters. Mayor Garcetti's unparalleled leadership has impacted Angelenos from all walks of life, earning Mayor Garcetti the title of ANCA-WR's Man of the Year back in 2003, a badge of honor that he's really worn gracefully throughout his entire tenure. So thank you for that, Mayor. And to introduce this evening's Man of the Hour, I would like to call up our chairperson, the chair lady of the ANCA Western Region. Please welcome Mrs. Nora José.
Thank you all for being here. This is such a lovely evening, and we're so happy that you all accepted our invitation to join us in honoring Eric Garcetti. From his time as Los Angeles City Council member representing the 13th District, which included Little Armenia, from 2001 to 2013, and then to his post as City Council President from 2006 to 2012, and then as the youngest elected mayor of Los Angeles since 2013. He's been a true friend of the Armenian community and a loyal advocate of the Armenian cause. We are proud tonight to honor our friend, Mayor Eric Garcetti, and to thank him for his service and solidarity as he prepares to leave our city to embark on a new career as U.S. Ambassador to India. My first personal memory of Eric Garcetti was in 2005, when my husband Viken returned from a trip to Armenia, bragging that Eric had worn his light gray suit jacket in Yerevan because his luggage was delayed, and he had no suits to wear for his official meetings with Armenian officials. Of course, Viken wore a much smaller size back then. I don't think he minds me saying that. But even then, his jacket was still too big for Eric. So I tried to find photos to show you, but that was the pre-iPhone age, and I was out of luck. But even now, 17 years later, they still joke about it whenever they see each other. But in all seriousness, Eric Garcetti's commitment to our community and to our cause has been consistent, steadfast, reliable, and unwavering, even in the face of intense political pressure from our enemies. We have been blessed to have him in our corner all these years, and we will miss him immensely when he leaves Los Angeles. From his early days, when he made the beautification of Little Armenia one of his top priorities as a city council member, to his historic ANCA-WR sponsored trip to Armenia, to seeing his vision of a Yerevan Los Angeles sister city project come to fruition, to marching with us year after year as we commemorated the Armenian genocide and called for justice. Council member and then council president Eric Garcetti proved his commitment time and time again. Upon his election as mayor in 2013, Eric Garcetti continued using his voice and the power of his office to support us and our cause. That same year, he was deservedly honored as the ANCA-WR's Man of the Year at our annual gala banquet, and his door has always remained open to us. He has laudably hired high-level, talented, trusted, and committed staff from amongst members of our community, ranging from Liza Tomasyan to Lynette Armenian, from Emergency Management Department General Manager Adam Sahakian, and of course, to Deputy Mayor Ambassador Nina Hachikian, whose credentials as U.S. Ambassador to the Southeast Nations, founder of the Women Ambassadors Serving America, and newly appointed member of the Pentagon's Defense Policy Board make us all so proud. Congratulations, Nina. Mayor Garcetti has always listened to our concerns with a level of understanding and empathy that we don't often find, encouraging our community to become more and more civically engaged, advocating for and securing Armenian language election ballots and materials to help accomplish that goal, helping to find much needed funding for community services, such as those offered by the Armenian Relief Society, Hominid Men, AYF, Armenian Bone Marrow Registry, etc., and many other worthy programs. On the occasion of the Armenian Genocide Centennial, as Paul mentioned earlier, Mayor Garcetti worked very closely with him, with Paul Krikorian and his office, as well as Councilmember Paul Peretz, whose district the Turkish consulate was in, and also with the Armenian Genocide Centennial Committee, which was an organization that came together consisting of 24 leading community and faith-based organizations and all of the church leaders in our community in order to commemorate the Genocide Centennial. And Mayor Garcetti made sure that our March for Justice, which was 166,000 people strong, and at that time, one of the largest, I think it was the second largest march in Los Angeles history as of that time, he made sure that the city footed the bill for everything, the police, the traffic control, everything that we needed for that day so that our community could walk 6.5 miles from Little Armenia to the Turkish consulate in protest and calling for justice for the genocide. And he marched with us at that time. Mayor Garcetti has always worked closely with Councilmember Paul Krikorian, who has taken the lead on Armenian issues within the city of Los Angeles. They've together welcomed many high-level officials from the Republic of Armenia as well as the Republic of Artsakh over the years, despite immense backlash from Turkish and Azeri diplomats. It takes a lot of integrity, courage, and fortitude to stand strong against such pressure, but he has done it time and time again without hesitation and with a firm commitment, and we're so grateful for that. Upon hosting Artsakh's Parliament Speaker Ashok Bulyan in Los Angeles in 2014, Mayor Garcetti stated, and I'll quote, "Although the federal authorities of the United States have not yet recognized the independence of the Nagorno-Karabakh Republic, we are the people of this country, and our decision is unbreakable. We are proud that Los Angeles was the first to make a step toward recognizing the right of the people of Artsakh to self-determination." In 2015, Mayor Garcetti spearheaded the cancellation of a huge lobbying contract between the city of Los Angeles and the Gephardt Group, which is notorious for its pro-Turkey, anti-Armenian lobbying work, and that was because of his zero tolerance policy for genocide deniers. And after the Azeri attack against Artsakh in 2016 and the devastating war in 2020, Mayor Garcetti was among the first to express his solidarity with our people and their struggles against the same genocidal intent by Turkey and Azerbaijan, which existed 100 years ago and which continues until today. In 2019, when our community was targeted by hate crimes and a rising wave of Armenophobia, Mayor Garcetti strongly condemned these vile acts and reaffirmed his solidarity with us once again. And just a couple of months ago, Mayor Garcetti proudly joined us for the groundbreaking ceremony after the long-awaited lease of the old firehouse on Balboa by the San Fernando Valley Armenian Cultural Foundation, which was finally signed 10 years after he and Councilmember Paul Perez had spearheaded the effort 10 years prior. About Mayor Garcetti, but I think it's pretty clear why we wanted to honor him today. And this evening is just a small token of our love and appreciation for a man who deserves so much more, and whose friendship and solidarity we will always cherish, no matter where life's path takes him. Eric, we wish you nothing but success and happiness in all that you do, and we are eager to watch you navigate this next chapter of your life. Always know that the Armenian community of Los Angeles is with you. We will stand with you as you have stood with us, always. Please come up to accept our gift to remind you of this evening and of the journey we have walked together for the past 2 decades. One more thing. We do have a scroll from the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors with 5 signatures. This was initiated by Supervisor Catherine Barker, who is also a great friend of all of us. She unfortunately is out of town today and could not join us. But her Chief of Staff, Anna Muradian, come on up, Anna, is here. Do you want to read it?
I can't follow you.
Please. Okay, I'll read it. It's the County of Los Angeles Commendation, Mayor Eric Garcetti, farewell reception, Armenian National Committee of America Western Region, in recognition of dedicated service to the affairs of the community and for the civic pride demonstrated by numerous contributions for the benefit of all the residents of Los Angeles County. February 17, 2022, and it's signed by Catherine Barger, Holly Mitchell, Hilda Solis, Sheila Kuehl, and Janice.
There you go. Okay. There we go, one. Yeah, exactly. That's how we're this way. Ready, one. Good? Okay. All right. All right. Years and 8 months, but who's counting? And as a candidate, probably a good year and a half before that, going to events. And so I always have a sense of guilt when people are away from their family or their home, that our distinguished diplomats and clergy have to spend a few more hours listening to people praise me. And I think all of you who know me know that I'm much more comfortable giving praise than receiving it. I'm trying to lead with love than accepting it, which is something I've worked on throughout my life. Nelson Mandela once said that it's important to learn how to be comfortable in the light, which I've struggled with for 21 years. Because it's so easy when you become an elected official to just receive all this praise and think you're the center of the universe. But my parents taught me to always remember that we are part of a web that's tied together, and that we're just one strand. And any part of that web breaks, and we're all weak. And so I just want to thank my fellow elected officials, first of all, who are here, their families. I think about tomorrow at home, Gail, waiting for you, all the folks that really sacrifice so much for service. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here. To my dear friends from Glendale, thank you, Mayor and Council members, Chief, for taking time out of your day. Thank you for hosting us. We're just a suburb of Glendale. We're very honored to be here. I come so often to this restaurant and have so many great memories. Sir Paisan and Sir Paisan, I want to thank you to our clergy who has come here, Bishop and the Reverend. I think in life it can often be a lonely journey, especially when we take this path of service. There's kind of three things that make it a little less lonely. First and foremost is your family. I've been so blessed with Maya and Amy, my parents and sister, and our foster children to have the most beautiful family a man could ever have. I even snuck going home for a couple hours before coming here, just to see my daughter for about 10 minutes before I had to go and come here. That's enough to drink in and to feel wonderful. The second thing is faith. I think when we take this path by ourselves, and I'm both, come from a Jewish and a Catholic tradition. I think I learned from Judaism in the sense of service without second thought. So it's something that underlies us as Jews. Tzedakah. We don't give because of credit. We don't serve others because of anything besides God's commandment to do so, which we see in the Bible. And then I think for me it's the Catholic and Christian tradition of love that I've really tried to every single day live by. It certainly makes life not only less lonely, it fills it with the purpose of why we're here even in the toughest moments. And Paul, thank you for what you said, because I do try my very best in the face of a more hateful world sometimes that we live in, to just model what love might look like so that people can see it doesn't have to be our divisions, it doesn't have to be the wars, it doesn't have to be the differences of ideology or personality or geography or ethnicity or religion that separates us, but that we find our common humanity. And then the third thing I think that makes us less lonely is when we find each other. And there's a couple pictures that I love. One is the opportunity I had to meet a survivor of the genocide, the woman who, over 100 years old, whose forehead I kissed, to bless her for blessing us. But there's also a number of pictures from the cathedral just a few years ago. And it filled me with such joy for Armenian clergy to be there, not alone, but with Jewish and Muslim and other Christian leaders. Because so often I think those of us who come from traditions that have lived, or at least we best know those moments and those chapters of oppression and suffering, we sometimes think, well, sometimes we have friends, but do we really have deep friends? And I've tried to just model that for this Armenian community, you belong. This is your city. This is your world. And that the friendship that we have isn't about what you can give us or Los Angeles. It's about what you already do to build this city and build this world and to make it what it is. I love this award because it was when I was in Forgerat and crawling down where Grigor the Illuminator spent years. And in the shadow of Mount Ararat, where a dove came to tell humanity that the flood was over, that I can see what the Armenian nation has been to be a light unto this world. And Ambassador, thank you for your words and your friendship and the friendship I've had directly with the Armenian state, which stands as evidence that the nation cannot be destroyed, never will be. We know the great quotes and the poems that say that the Armenian people will always rise up, but the state is significant, and you've been a wonderful representative of that state. And we've always proud that whenever Paul says, hey, somebody's in town, whether it's the deputy prime minister, the prime minister's wife, the prime minister, whether it's the president of Artsakh, whoever it is, it's always yes because it's important for this state. By the state, I mean both the United States, Glendale, and Los Angeles, to year after year after year affirm that we as a government are there as well. With the power that we have, what little power we have, we will always exercise it for the truth and to defend our friends. It's a tough moment. Nora and I were just talking at the table to be Armenian. Because on one hand, if you're Armenian American, we finally achieved what I never knew if I'd see while I was an elected official or even in my lifetime. Would there be a president with the courage to finally speak the truth? But this president that I'm about to serve in his administration, Joe Biden, I'm so grateful, didn't hesitate. And it was so easy. The truth will set you free. We kept saying this to administration after administration, promise after promise broken. But we saw it and we witnessed it. And so, in one hand, it is the best of times. But on the other hand, the war and what we saw in Artsakh reminded us of that chapter of the Armenian nation that always, and I say this as a Jew because we are such similar nations, comes back and sometimes defines us. It's our suffering. It's our oppression. But I would just say to my Armenian friends, don't let that ever define who we are. Because we don't run from anything. And even when we suffer, there are moments we must celebrate. We must never let the dark clouds take away the sunshine and the sunlight that we need. Certainly that guided me as your mayor in the city of Los Angeles for the last 2 years. These were the worst years we ever lived through. Days we never wanted to see. Days we hope will never come back. We lost more people in a week, sometimes half a week, than we lose in a year to homicide. We still are losing people, and we're so exhausted by it, we sometimes forget that people are still out there suffering. And yet the flip side was I saw the most beautiful generosity I've ever witnessed in my city. People who knocked on the door of their neighbor to check in with a senior to say, I never knew what your name was, but can I get you some groceries? And has anybody even talking to you? To find that person who wasn't coupled or married, who was on their own, feeling so lonely and so depressed while we all had to be at home 2 years ago. You see, I believe that in the end, if we can find each other, this loneliness of being human isn't lonely at all. And the nation, which takes the chaos of the world and says, this is where you're from, and gives you that kind of horizontal axis of geography. There's a place where you come from, a place where you live. If you're Armenian American, you have the best. You have Armenia and America. And then it gives you a temporal axis. It gives you this vertical axis that says, this is your history. You aren't alone. You weren't first. Your victories will be repeated, and your suffering isn't just yours alone. In other words, it gives us the meaning of why we're here, and I think why God created us, to lead with that love that I've tried to do. I have a whole, bunch of talking points, but I just want to end on this. There's an Armenian saying. Well, before I say that, I want to thank my Armenian American staff. Lynn, who has been my city hall mother, and her real son is here, her biological son, so I was being careful. And he's a judge, so I don't want him to judge me in saying that. I think he's given me the permission. But you really have been my city hall mother and such a part of my family and our family. And Beitzar and Arsen, and Christine and George, and when I think about how proud Nina has not only made us as the first deputy mayor of international relations, not just in LA history, but the only one in America right now, what pride you've given this community to, and the love that you have shown in pushing human rights in this world and teaching me how to be a diplomat and follow in your footsteps as an ambassador. I just want to thank you because I know it's tough to be an Armenian American rep. Can everybody who's an Armenian American rep raise their hand and say yes? Because there's such a diverse community. And this group is calling, and that group wants equal attention, and we always are very good at having 4 prayers and making sure that there's, what's the cliche about Jews and Armenians? You get 3 of them together, you have 5 opinions, and probably 7 churches or synagogues. But you have really connected me to the community and sustained that relationship if I've had one that's close. I want to give a shout out to Hollywood and to the first ANC friends that I had. And the work that we did together, which was so meaningful to me. And everybody who went to Yerevan to make sure that Los Angeles and Yerevan would always be sister cities, and now Hollywood to Mount Ararat would be linked forever. And then finally, what I wanted to end on was there's a Armenian saying, I don't know it in Armenian. We were hoping to get there, and then the pandemic came. I was going to be the first sitting mayor to get there, but maybe, Kevin, if you're the next mayor, and we could have 2 mayors for the next year in here, who knows? I'll just kind of drop those hints out there. And a controller, and so there's all sorts of great things that could happen to make history in the next few months. I hope you get there. But this Armenian saying says that every man, and we should say woman too, has 3 ears. You know this? One on the left side of his body, one on the right side of his body, and one in his heart. And you have taught me how to listen with my heart. This community, the Armenian American diaspora, this kind of ragtag group that didn't know whether it would survive, has built the most glorious community and helped us build this most magnificent city and country. You have taught me how to hear with my heart. And that is something I will carry with me to India. I welcome you to visit me. I hope it's going to be one big trip. All of you guys should just charter a plane and come and find the week that you can come, and we can do Armenian history in India and have a great time. And I can't wait to come back to the warm embrace of this community. I know that I am always here as your brother, as your friend, and as the Ancestry.com DNA test finally showed, 2%, I am Armenian. So thank you all so much. I love you. So heavy. I can take this to India so I can work out. You've been such a guide and a brother.